Hi friends, good afternoon. In this Azure Databricks master program, this is our 15th session. In this session, we will see how to read PIPE Delimited CSV files efficiently in Spark. So what happened yesterday, we have seen the delimiter is comma. And today we are going to see if the delimiter is pipe and if the delimiter is tab, how we are going to read these particular files we will see. And in this session, we will learn basically how to read pipe delimited files into a data frame by using PySpark. And we are going to see two things. One is how you can read a single file, how we can read multiple files which you have under a directory. In a directory, we'll have multiple files because in real time what happens? So every day you will see a new file arrived into the same directory. You need to read all the data. So if you want to read all the files, how you are going to read, we are going to see that. Next, we will see different options while reading CSV or TSV. CSV means comma separated values and TSV is nothing but tab separated values. Okay, if we use pipe, so it is not called as a pipe separated value, but you can call it as a pipe delimited CSV file. Okay, whatever type of file you are trying to read doesn't matter, but whenever you are reading CSV or TSV and pipe delimited CSV files, these three options are very important. As we discussed, delimiter is nothing but it is a separation between the values. Let's say customer is entering is some values, example customer ID, customer name, and customer contact. So whenever he is entering these details, you want to make some separation between each word so that readability will increase, right? So what he is going to do, so customer ID will enter, then you may put comma, or you may use pipe, you may use some tab. Next you will enter his name, then you will use comma, pipe, or tab. So that is nothing but a delimiter. It's a separator between the actual data. Next, InferSchema equal to true. So this is the main point that we need to discuss. Even yesterday we discussed. So InferSchema equal to true. What it means is you are going to read the data first time. Once you read the data, it is going to read data and it will give you all columns or a string data type. But so actually all the data is not string type, but Spark is going to tell all the data type, all columns type is string. So what is the reason behind this is Spark is not going to scan entire data to identify each column data type. So you need to tell explicitly InferSchema equal to true. What it means is you are telling Spark, hey Spark, can you scan this entire data once again to identify the data type of each column. Okay, so this is having some performance issue because what happens is in real time you will have a large amount of data. It's millions and billions of records you will have. So if you try to read all those records once again, there will be a performance impact. That's why we are going with the user defined schema. What it means, you are not asking our Spark to read data to infer this schema. Instead of that, as a user, you are telling my first column is this data type, my second column is this data type, something like that. Even yesterday we have seen if we have given a wrong data type, what happened, Senthil, yesterday? So instead of player name, we have used so player name is actually string, but when we try to give it as integer, it is taking as a null values because names cannot be converted into integer. If the number is there, number is integer, this number can be converted into string because it can be converted. String means any value you can consider as a string, but number means only numbers. Integer means only numbers can be integers. Okay, clear. I hope this point also clear because we also discussed yesterday this point. Now header equal to true. What happens, in every file you will have a column names, that is nothing but headers. So what happens, by default your Spark will consider your first row also data. It will think that okay, these headers also some customer data, some customer details. But how Spark knows that your first row in a file is not a customer details, it's a actually header information, column names. For that we need to use header equal to true. If you say header equal to true, Spark will understand first row in a file is headers, not a actual customer details. It's not a transaction details. It's not a sales details, based on what type of file you are trying to read. Okay, now I would like to ask, if you remember, what is the default delimiter, friends? Yesterday we discussed what is the default delimiter. Senthil or Sushmit? Very good. So default delimiter is comma. What is the default InferSchema value? True or false?
False.
Good. Header?
Also for I think that also false.
False. Okay, good. So remember all these values, we have a default values. Even if you are not mentioning these values explicitly, default values it will pick. Now, as per your requirement, you need to override these details. Now, let's go to the third point. Okay.
Malaya, this is the only file format we will use, or do we have any like JSON, XML, those kind of files?
Yes, Antil. So currently we started with the CSV. Now we
Okay.
moved to PIPE Delimited.
Okay.
Then we are discussing TSV. Next topic is Parquet. Next we will go Yavro, ORC,
Okay.
XML.
Okay. Okay.
So don't worry. So we are going to focus all types of file. Doesn't matter in your project. Maybe it's a limited file formats will be there.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe
Yeah. Yeah.
mostly people will use Parquet in Spark.
Okay.
But the
Okay.
source can be CSV, anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mostly CSV will be your source. So what I'm trying to do is I will give you all the knowledge that is required for any project. So what happens so that it will be like good for you to have a entire knowledge. So that's why I have
Exactly.
covered CLI commands. I'm going to cover all types of files. Okay, so that even as I said, in one project you will not see all types of files. In a
Exactly. Yeah.
project, max you'll have a 2 to 3 different file formats, but based on project to project, it will change. That's why. So in which project you are working doesn't matter. So I'm going to cover all file formats. Okay, clear, Sandeep?
Yes. Yes, Malaya. Thank you. Yeah.
Let's see now. Read pipe delimited CSV file with the user specified schema. As we discussed, so if you use InferSchema equal to true, that what is happening is it is reading data once again. It is going to cause your performance issue. To avoid this performance issue, you need to define user specified schema. How to define user specified schema? We discussed yesterday. We are going to define user specified schema once again today. Okay, and we will try to read this pipe delimited CSV files. Next, I'm going to work with the TSV files. TSV files means between the separator here is going to be a tab. Okay, previously we have seen with comma. Now we are going to see with pipe. Later we will check with tab if the values are separated with the tab, how to work with them. Next, so read TSV files with a user specified schema. We are going to see how to read these TSV files with user specified schema. If you remember, these options are same for your CSV, TSV, pipe delimited CSV files. For all these three, these are the default values, the default option. But you still have many, like you have many other options. We are not going to use other options frequently, but these three options we are going to use very frequently. Okay, clear? So these are the topics we are going to discuss. Let me just give you some introduction with respect to options and other things. Then we will start with our practicals. Options while reading CSV. Okay, see the delimiter, as we discussed, delimiter option is used to specify the column delimiter of the CSV file. By default, it is a comma character, but can be set to any character. Okay, next, InferSchema. The default value set to this option is false. When setting to true, see the default value set to this option is false. When setting it to true, it automatically infer column types based on the data. Based on your data, if the customer IDs are numbers, it will infer it's an integer. If the customer names or names, it will consider it is a string. Note that it requires reading data one more time to InferSchema. This is the problem. It is going to read our data one more time. To avoid that, we are going with the user defined schema. Next, header. This option is used to read the first line of the CSV file as column names. Okay, as we discussed, by default, the value of this option is also false. What it means, you are saying there is no headers in my file. Okay, if you know there are headers in your file, you need to override the default value. Okay, the default value is false. You need to override to true. You need to set it as a true. Then it will consider your first row as headers. Okay. Next, syntax for reading your pipe delimited files. You can see here. So spark.read.csv. It's a CSV file only. Extension also CSV. Remember, header equal to true, meaning I am saying I have a headers in this file. InferSchema equal to true. I'm saying, can you read this entire data to identify the data types? Next, here, if you see the separator is pipe. Okay, schema equal to schema. If you want to give the user defined schema, you need to specify here. But as I'm mentioning from the beginning of our sessions, when we started reading these files, you need to use either of this option, info schema equal to true or schema equal to schema, but you should not use both the options at once. Okay, so you cannot use both the options at once, because you are like trying to info schema from the art, or like you are trying to info schema automatically by using this option. You are providing explicitly by using this option. You are providing schema explicitly by using this option. So you need to use either of these. But as we know, if you use this option, you will not have performance issue. You'll get better performance. If you use this, you will have a performance issue. This is one type of syntax. We have another syntax here. You can see spark.read.format. Format is CSV. Option header equal to true. Option info schema equal to true. Next, so header equal to true means I have headers. I am saying info schema equal to true. I am mentioning can you scan data to identify data type of each column. Delimiter, I am saying it's a pipe. Next, schema. If you have defined the schema, you can mention schema dot load. So I'm just loading this particular file from this location. I'm loading. Okay, these are the two syntaxes we have. Any of these syntax you can use, but this is mainly specific to Databricks syntax. Okay, let me go to next slide. Syntax for reading your TSV file. Here there is a small change in it. So when you are reading, you are going to say .csv, but extension of the file is going to be a .tsv. Extension of the file is going to be a .tsv. One change. Second, the delimiter here is tab. It's not a pipe or comma, it's a tab. Remaining things are same, header equal to true, info schema equal to true. Schema, if you want to specify explicitly, you can use this particular option. Next, spark.read.format, it's a CSV, header equal to true, info schema equal to true, and delimiter is tab. The schema of schema load. I am loading this particular TSV file from this location. Okay, so this is the syntax for reading your TSV files. So that's all. These are the slides available. So any doubts here, friends?
I'm okay, Malaya.
Okay. Okay, then let me quickly go into our portal to create our Azure Databricks. So let's click on portal.azure.com. So if we are going to see all those things through our database community, it will be much more quicker. But only the problem is some people are saying, can you just, if it takes more time, that is okay. Can you go and do everything from Azure Databricks? So that is the request I received. That's why every time I'm going to create Azure Databricks. Let's click on Azure Databricks to create this service. Add Azure Databricks. Here you can create a resource group. The resource group I will give it here as Databricks master program. Okay, Databricks master program. Okay, session 15 as 15. Okay, next, this workspace name I can say Cloud Pandit ADV Azure Databricks workspace. So I'm launching it in East to West. As we know, standard and premium. If you go with premium, you will have a role-based access control. If you go with the standard, normal performance, click networking. So I don't have my own virtual network. I want to launch Databricks workspace in default virtual network. Leave that blank. Tags, if you want to give key value paste, you can give all these things we discussed. Now click review test create. Okay, so it is going to validate all these details. Then click create to create your Databricks workspace. So like meanwhile, I will show you the data which I have. So even yesterday I have shown you. Quickly, let me show you the data which I have. Go inside Spark CSV, set comma. So these are the comma separated values, but I want to show you with pipe separated values first. Okay, let's click here. Then go inside here. I have a files. Okay, pipeline file 1.csv. It's basically a pipeline. It's separated with all values is separated with pipe. You can see it's a pipe. Okay, next, come back. Sorry, let's click here. Go to set. So you see here I have another file. This is a pipeline file 2.csv. Okay, this is pipeline file 1.csv. It's a pipeline file 2.csv. I have two pipeline files. Now click on this. You see Azure Databricks is creating here. Let's wait. Until that, once it is created, we can able to create a cluster and quickly upload these files. Okay.
Malaya.
Tell me, sir.
Yeah, actually, we are using data frame to show the data or hold the data, right? Actually, when we are, I mean, when I was studying this data factory and all, so you taught me one more technique, right? Data frame and one more technique we have, right?
Another module, RDD module.
Oh, that's okay. But normally people are using data frame or RDD layer. So which one is, I mean, most?
Unstructured data, you need to go for RDD, and if it is structured data, you need to come to data frame. So which
Okay.
one is good, which one is not good? So when we need to go for RDD, when we need to go.
Your voice is breaking. No? Malaya, unable to hear you.
Sorry. So yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
So what I was trying to tell you is, like, right now I'm going to show you how to read
Mhm.
files, to write these files. Then
Okay.
we will say how to integrate with the different sources to read and write the data. Because if
Okay.
you understand
Yeah.
Azure Databricks, how to use, how to read and write the files, how to connect to the different storages,
Yeah.
70% of your things will be done. Only
Okay.
30% is logic. Logic will be differ based on the project to project and requirement to requirement.
Exactly.
So that kind of like use cases and performance tuning, okay, Python, Spark functions, all those things we will discuss at the end.
Yeah.
So we will go on priority one by one.
No worries. Yeah. Malaya, and I forgot to ask one thing. Are you guys safe? I heard like it was very flooding,
Yeah,
very big
yes,
flooding happening there. Okay.
yeah. Regular power cuts we have, so that's why I canceled few sessions since last
Okay.
2 days.
Yeah.
No issue. Now
Okay.
we are fine. Thank you, Sanjay,
Okay.
for asking.
Okay.
So now you see Azure Database is ready. Let's click go to resource, launch workspace. And now we are inside Databricks workspace. So we have discussed about all these things. Let's take clusters to create cluster. So how many types of clusters we have? Anybody can answer them. So how many types of clusters we have?
Two type of
All
cluster,
purpose
right?
and job.
Job
All
cluster and
purpose
all.
job cluster. Okay, don't forget. So that is one of the important introduction. Okay? So cluster name. I'm just giving cluster name. We know when to use high concurrency and standard and single node, right? High concurrency for parallel execution, standard for serial execution, single node for your normal practice you can use. Okay. Now you see runtime is nothing but a pool you can use to reduce the cluster start time, and Databricks runtime is nothing but a core components you are installing on the cluster. We discussed about all these things. Let's reduce this one to 60 minutes. If you are not submitting any job on this cluster for about 60 minutes, then cluster will terminate automatically to save the cost, because unnecessarily we are going to run the cluster. So to avoid running cluster unnecessarily, we are going to terminate cluster based on inactive time. Now click on workspace, create a folder, create here, create, let's create a folder. So this folder name, I can call it as a Cloud Pandit. Okay. So this is my Cloud Pandit folder. Click on that. click here, create. So here you see, it's a notebook. Okay, I want to create a notebook. This notebook is basically read pipe delimited CSV files. Okay. Read pipe delimited CSV files. So this is the in which language we are trying this in Python. So on this cluster I want to execute create it. So this is my code. So this is a new workspace. Okay, yesterday like for in evening batch I have received one question. People are asking, so when you create a Azure Databricks workspace, will it create a new blob storage again, or it is going to use the existing blob storage? So can you answer, friend? Will it create a new blob storage, or it is going to use the previous blob storage?
So every time we are creating a new workspace, right? So it
Very
will
good.
use new one, I
Okay,
think.
so it is going to create a new blob storage every time. So that's why what happens is yesterday, whatever folders we have created, all those things will be gone now. If you open same workspace, then you will see all those folders. But now I opened a separate Databricks workspace. I created now, I'm opening, so you will not be able to see all the folders which we have created yesterday. So I need to create these folders again. For that, dbutils.fs.ls. I want to list down what is the content I have in my base folder. File store slash tables. Okay, and we know this is the query which will give you the content inside uh, tables directory. Whatever content is there inside tables directory, everything it will display. Now if I want to create some directories under tables directory, okay, I want to create some subdirectories. So for that, what is the command? Anybody remember we discussed about dbutils, mkdirs.
Okay, DRS, yeah.
So you need to give this particular base path. After base path you need to say base path slash, you need to tell here pipe delimited, meaning pipe file. So if you want to put single file to read a file, I am going to create this folder. If I want to maintain multiple pipe delimited CSV files, I will say multi pipe file. This is a folder. Inside this folder I will maintain multiple pipe separated CSV files. Inside this particular folder I will maintain a single pipe separated CSV files. In the same way, I'm going to create a two more folders. My one folder is TSV file to store TSV file. This is going to be a multi TSV file. Okay. So now, so let's see cluster is up or not. Okay, cluster is still creating. Confirm it. Okay, no issue. Cluster is still creating. Let it create. Suppose, let's imagine I have created these folders. Okay, I want to read a file. What is the syntax we have seen for reading your pipe delimited file? What is the syntax? Spark.read.csv, and here you need to pass the source path. You need to pass your source path. Source path df equal to this and df dot show. This is a source path. Here I am going to put the actual path. Okay. So now if you see the cluster is up, let's list down the content which we have under file store slash tables. Okay, it will take more time when it is executing first command. Okay. So after creating the new cluster, it will take some time to execute the command. Okay. So anybody remember this error, friends?
Yesterday you
Yesterday
told,
also,
right? Yeah.
yeah, yesterday also we got this error, but this is a temporary error. So what happens when you create a new cluster, it will not be able to look for your default store, default or base path. If you check it, you can able to see the base path is already available. Okay, but if you try to execute this after some time, at least some 15 seconds or 20 seconds, Now you will see it is going to tell you this is a path exists. In this path you don't have any content. Now I am going to create these 4 folders inside file store / tables under base path. Now list down the content. You see multi pipe file, multi TSV file, pipe file, TSV file. Let's click on data, add data, DBFS. Don't select DBFS. Click here, select. So in which folder I want to upload file? I want to upload my file in a pipe file. Save it. So in this pipe file folder, I want to upload a single pipe file folder. A single pipe or pipeline file one. I'm just uploading this. Open. Single file I uploaded into this folder. Now let me select multi pipe file. Select. Sorry. Click on DBFS. Come back. Click on multi pipe file. Save it. So in this I will upload multiple pipeline files. That is nothing but 2 files. I will upload. Click on this. Go back. Select now TSV file. TSV file folder. In that I will upload only single TSV file. So yesterday we have seen all this data. Okay, this is a TSV file. Now let's click on this, go back. Let's select multi TSV file folder. So browse it. I want to upload these 2, open. So you see these 2 folders uploaded. Now click on reasons. This is the pipe delimited file. Now I want to focus on my pipe file. So what is the file I have in this directory? Okay, so I have a single file. That single file I want to read. So sorry. Okay, now just execute this. See, in this we have a single CSV file, single pipe delimited file. This is the file path. You just put that particular value you assign to a variable. That variable I'm using here. Instead of assigning value to variable and use variable here, you can hard code this path directly in the CSV function. Now we will try to read the data. See what is underscore C0. This is the default. This is the default column name. So your actual columns are inside data. Okay, next, that is one observation. Second observation is all this data went into a single column. Why? Because the default delimiter is comma. So when you say delimiter is comma, it will not identify because all these things will come under one word. If you say delimiter is comma, because it is going to look for a comma, but it will not find any comma, then it will consider entire row is a one record. Now, so instead of saying the delimiter equal to comma by default value, I will say separator here is pipe. Next. See, now data is like little bit proper now. Now I need to make sure my headers in a proper position. I know in this data my first row is header. How you can inform to your Spark that I have headers in my file? Just take same code, put that code here. Just have to say here header equal to row and execute this. See, data is proper. The data is proper. Now let's come down. Let's see now the data type of all is string. So what I need to use here? I need to use one more parameter here. InferSchema equal to true and execute it. Okay, see, player ID, player name, player highest score, number of matches. Okay, now if you expand, you see the data types are integer, string, integer. It is giving the data types properly. Okay, clear?
Yes, Malaya. Yeah.
Okay. Now we will see something. Let's say this is how we are going to, but the problem is if you use InferSchema equal to true, there is a performance issue. That's why we will go with a user-defined schema. How to go with user-defined schema? Okay, how to go with user-defined schema? For that, yesterday we have seen just to take all those columns. First, what is your column name here? Player ID. Okay, what is the data type of this? Integer type. So just put integer type. Next. So what is the next data type? The next column name is player name. So what is the data type of player name? It's a string type. Okay. So put comma after each value. Next, what is the next column? Player highest score. It's a score integer type. Okay. Just so my final column is number of matches. Number of matches. Number of matches. Now this number of matches also integer type. So next thing, yesterday somebody is asking why I am using capital letter here, and other words are small, because this is case sensitive. So you need to use exact words because Python is a case sensitive, you see. Okay, so that's why you need to put all these things inside a like properly. You need to use like case sensitive. Wherever capital letters you need to use capital, wherever small letters you need to use small letters. So all these are the structured fields. This is one field. Structure field. Okay, so all these are the items, right? So example, let's say here this is one item, this is another item, this is another item. So I will bring something on. So all these values you need to put inside a like you need to consider a string. Sorry, you need to put all these items inside a list. To keep all these values inside a list, so you need to use a square bracket starting and ending. Okay, this is nothing but a like you have created all the columns. To say all these are the columns which are your schema, you need to pass all these items to another function called structured type. Okay, so this is the list I'm passing to my structured type. This is going to be s equal to structured type. This is how you need to define the schema. But if you look at the structured type, structured field, integer type, string type, all these are the types which are available in your PySpark.sql module. So you need to import those things here. Import. You can say don't use star. If you use star, it will be a performance issue. And if your client is good technical people, they will raise some kind of a bug to like correct, like change this particular code. So that's why you need to say structure field. Whatever you have used in the code, only those things you need to import here. Integer type, string type. Okay. So this is how I have imported. Now I have defined the schema. This
These are all
schema.
like a package, you struct type, struct field.
Yes, it's a
Okay,
type
okay,
package. Okay.
okay.
So now what you need to understand here is, so I want to read a file. Now how to read spark.read. So let me bring the code from top because I need to anyhow copy the top, right? So let's put it here. So only the difference here I see is instead of using InferSchema, remove like info, just put schema equal to, don't use to, just put s. What is s? S is nothing but this schema. Okay. Then let's show you that. Yeah, let's take something like this. No issue. Okay. Let's execute now. What it is saying.
Spelling is wrong. Spelling problem.
One second.
Integers,
Integer something. Yes, spelling mistake. Now you try to execute. See now all columns are proper and you see integer, string, integer, integer. So this is how you need to define your own schema to read these particular files. Okay, clear?
Yes, Milia. Okay. Yeah.
Good. So now we will see. So this is the single file. With single file we have tried. Now let's imagine I have multi-pipe files. Okay, multi-pipe files are available inside this folder. Now if you look at the previous path is mentioning file name. Now I'm not going to mention my like file name because it's not a single file to mention the path. Okay, if you have multiple files inside this directory, you need to mention multiple directories. Multiple files we have inside directory. So that's why up to directory you need to mention spark.read.csv. In that you need to say this is my source path. This is df. And this is df.show. What will happen? Same issue will come. Everything will consider as a single column because the delimiter is pipe here, but it will treat the default delimiter. It will consider that is comma. If you consider comma here, all the things which you have in this file will look like a single word. Okay, that's why bring that code and put it here. And here I will use the separator equal to comma. So it's not comma pipe. Okay, execute it. See now, data is little bit okay, but from this particular file one, so it is considering your first row is also data. In the data, it is you will be able to see. In the second file also, it is considering first row is your data. It is showing data. But now I want to set headers properly. Now what I can say is, I will say header equal to true. I will say header equal to true. Then what happens is from this file, first row is header, meaning it will understand this is header. From this particular first file, first row is header, then it will consider these are headers. So likewise, it will understand the actual headers, it will identify and it will set the actual headers. You can see those things. Okay, this order of data, everything we will write the logic for that. Okay, we need to order this column so that in a proper ascending or descending based on our requirement, we can arrange this data. But for now, we will limit our discussion to reading files. Okay, so but what is the data types of this? You see again string. What I wanted to do, I want to say here separator is pipe. This is okay. Header equal to here. I try to use InferSchema equal to true and execute it. See InferSchema equal to true when you say integer string integer. Okay. Now instead of using this InferSchema equal to true, I am going to give my user defined schema. Okay, so already I defined schema, user defined schema, same schema, right? So with the same type of file, so same schema will fit here as well. Just to bring the same schema here. Okay, so here what I will do, instead of using InferSchema equal to true, I will say schema equal to yes and execute. So expand this, you see integer, string, integer. This is how you need to define user defined schema to read a multiple files. Okay, that's all about your pipe delimited CSV files. Before I move to the TSV, any questions? Senthil, Shushmita,
Yes, Malaya. I have a question. In multiple files, so I mean, the condition should be all the file structure should be same. Yeah.
Yeah, very
I
good
mean,
question.
number of columns should be same, right?
Correct.
If column is, for example, in the second files, I have a extra one more column, So in this situation, will it throw any error or it will, merge all these columns and all?
So it is not going to bring that particular column. So let's try that out. Okay. So
Because
for
in the
that,
struct type, we are giving that column as well. Because we know, we have consolidated that all the files and structure. If we give
so
that
here,
column as well,
okay, so
add
I'll
one more
just put
field.
some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Yes.
Just to make sure this is different data.
Yeah.
And this is like you can say. What is that? What you can consider for player ID, player name, player highest score, number of matches, and against which team they have achieved highest score.
Yeah.
Maybe something like you can say something. What you can do? South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, and you can say West Indies. Okay, so what are the other teams here? So that New Zealand, Australia, Pakistan, something like that. We have this file. Okay, this is our third CSV file. I will save this content as a my next file 3.csv. So now what I am trying to tell you is this particular next column it will ignore.
Yeah.
Let's save it. Now I'm going to upload this third file also in the same folder. Thank you for asking this question, Sanjay.
Yeah.
It is very important thing. A file store, tables. So you can see multi-pipe file. Okay. So in this, I will upload that. So to upload file, select. You select a multi-pipe file. Now I want to upload a third file. That our third file you can see here pipe. This is pipeline 3. I just mentioned pipeline 3. Let me rename this to pipeline file 3. Okay, just select this, click open. See, this is my file location. Select this location. Now click on reasons, click on this read pipe file delimited. Now, like I don't want to read a single file, right? So let's read all the files now. So I'm just reading this particular folder. In this folder, we have 3. See now, oh, this is, I thought it is going to ignore this, but it is not ignoring this. What it is doing, it is just like it is taking this column and
Yes.
the other values are null.
Yes. Yeah. Even I thought the same. It will take and other things will be. It will consolidate all the files and bring the headers here.
Yes. But in real time, I have seen in one of the requirement where we have received some extra columns. What happened is when I have same issue, right? So one time what happened when I was implementing audit framework, like
Okay.
I have added some 10 columns, then they came and they asked me to add one more extra column. So when I added that extra column, I was not able to see that extra column unless I deleted the like old files. So that's why I thought it is not going to show these details, but it is showing the if you add more columns, it is showing more columns data here. Okay, so this is simply a null for the columns, like for the files. In whatever files you don't have this column, you are getting a null, and in whatever files you see this particular column, you are getting the data. Okay, this is
Can you run that query with schema equal to schema? I mean, instead of using InferSchema, can you run that one?
okay, good.
Yeah,
Let's run.
maybe that may fail. I think. I don't know. That's
Yes.
ignored. Yeah, because we don't
Okay.
have that structure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now you see, so this is the problem. Okay, I think we were mentioning this user defined schema, as I said, right? So because in real time we won't use info schema for true, so we will use the like schema, like we will mention something like that. That's why it is the problem. Let's say even when I added, I will try to mention that struct field. Okay,
Then it will
just
take, it seems. Yeah.
something I need to add here, right? So let's add it here.
Malaya,
I
when
can
we define the structure here, do we need to follow the order, field order, column order?
yes.
Okay.
Spelling mistake here against spelling mistake. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, that is okay. Spelling mistake. Let's see here. Okay, let's try to read this file now. See, it's coming string, and okay, it is giving. If you mention that, it is giving. Okay. Okay, now you want to try that as well, right? So you want to give these particular things in a improper way, like it's not in a proper format. Let's try that.
If we change the order, yeah.
Let me just say this is my second column. So surely I'm sure about this particular answer.
Mm-hmm.
It will show you error, I think.
Okay.
So let's see.
Come on. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Throw error means maybe data you will not be able to see properly. I will see. See null values here.
Ah,
So because what is happening, see, actually it's a player name, but it is going to consider it as a player ID because second column it will think that. So it when what order you have defined is in your schema, based on that it will try to read your
all
data.
right.
So first column, even though you have IDs, as you have mentioned a player name, so it is giving player name and it is giving the values
Because of
here.
data type, it's ignoring, I think, because player ID is,
Correct.
yeah. Yeah.
But one more thing that what I'm trying to tell you is here, even though you have used the correct data type, the column names are going to like it's not a proper column names, right? So what happens?
Correct.
So column names will mismatch again here
Exactly.
because your column name, player name should be there here, player ID should be here, because wherever you have a player ID, your column name is player name. This is totally wrong. So
Correct.
that's why you need to consider all these points when you are defining your schema.
So if you change the data type for player ID, so it will bring the data, right?
It will bring the data, but the
Yeah.
column
But the
mismatch
column
will
name
happen.
different. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. Let me show you that as well if you'd like to see. Let's say if I change this one to, so it will bring the data. So it is bringing the data, but what it
Yeah.
is showing, player highest score.
Yeah.
Okay. One column is missing. Why one column is missing? Player number of matches. I think player ID I removed here. Somewhere I need to put it here. Yeah. So player ID is here. Integer type, string for integer type, string type. Okay, and everything is fine. Now let me just do it once again. Take this column, cut it this column. It is gone. This is okay, but you have to read that, right? Okay, any other questions with respect to here? Senthil, you have any other questions here?
No, Malaya, I'm clear now. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, no problem. Now let's try to, I will show you how you can read TSV files, okay? Let's say here you have a TSV file. Let's see what is the exact path to read your single CSV file. For that you will say dbutils.ls. Let's execute this. You see here dbfs colon file store slash tables slash tsv file and tsv file 1.tsv. Calm down.
So we will follow same structure, right? Instead of pipe, we will put /t, right, Malaya?
Exactly. I will show
Yeah.
you few things, then you can
Yeah.
continue with this.
Yeah.
So first thing you need to understand, the extension is TSV. Okay, it's a df, and you can say df.show, and you fit it. See, it's the not proper. What I'm trying to do now? Yeah, this is correct one. Now you see truncate equal to false because data is totally it is like it is misleading us. So that's why I will say truncate equal to false. So when you say truncate equal to false, don't truncate. See player ID, player name, player highest, so number of matches. What is here? There is a tab separation between this. Okay, there is a tab separation between this data. Now take this code and default delimiter comma. You are using comma. That's why this is putting entire row in a single column. Now if you use your separator equal to tab, you will see data in a proper format. See
What is that
player ID.
truncate? Truncate? What is that truncate? Is it
To
truncating any
truncate
string?
means yes, it is going to truncate if the data is a little bit long. You see here.
Oh, right.
So it is
Okay.
truncating all the content here.
Okay.
Okay, to
It's
see
coming
this,
like
we have
line
to
here.
say
Okay. Yeah.
don't truncate. Truncate equals false. Okay, got it.
Yes, Malaya.
You
Yeah.
see, now you just have to continue something like this. I hope you can able to do it with this TSV files, right? See, I just have to use here header equal to true. Okay, so you see here you don't have a, it is not inferring schema. You just have to infer schema by using this. Okay, what you need to do here is just put it here. Say, let's say here info schema equal to spelling mistake. So except this, now you will be able to see the proper column types. Okay, instead of using info schema equal to true, we can still use our user defined schema. To use user defined schema, you just remove info schema equal to true. Instead of that, you need to put schema equal to s. What is that s? We can bring the actual schema from here. This is like I added extra column here, but if you look at here, these are the the actual schema which you have defined for 4 columns. Okay, let's execute this reproduction. Let's see now what is the data type. See, integer, string, integer, integer. I kept it in a wrong place. And come here and put it here. If you execute it, you will see schema I am using. Here I am using like user defined schema. Here I am using user defined schema. Here I am using auto InferSchema. Here I am using header. Here I am using delimiter. Here without any options, I am trying to read the data. It looks like this. Now you can try out with your multiple files as well. Okay. So I hope you can able to read with multiple files now, right? Senthil, are you confident, right?
Yes, Malaya.
Sushmita, you are fine, right?
Yes, Malaya. Yes. Malaya, one small doubt. So before you explain, like if the table structure is different, it will actually neglect that row, right? Whichever we have added that column in real time.
Yeah, it was ignoring when you define a schema. We have seen, right? So
Yeah,
what happens? For example, here if I'm not mentioning this particular column name in the schema, user defined schema, it is ignoring that. But when you say this
Okay.
particular column, when you use this particular column in user defined schema, it is getting that extra column as well. And in whatever files you don't have this column, those files values in those files, this particular column value is going to be none.
Yeah,
You
okay.
see. Okay. Okay. I think Ram is not joined today. Lakshman. Okay, many people absent today. We don't know why. Okay, friends, we'll discuss remaining things tomorrow. Okay, thank you. That's it for today.
Thank you, Malaya. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye, sir.